Shulodd, and hello, Zelamals. I am Matthew Carauddo, author and developer of Diamond Dragons, and today, in this video series called Diamond Discussions, we will chat with varying artists, our diamonds in the rough. Hey guys, Matthew here, and today's diamond in the rough is Nicole Miller. So Nicole, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure, my pleasure. So tell us about yourself and your work.
Well, right now things are just, I feel like for me, just really getting started, really gearing up. I think for a lot of people, 2020 didn't go as planned. And I'm one of those people. I've been kind of shifting gears and I'm finding out where I live. I live in Oklahoma. We're becoming like the next Atlanta, Georgia for film.
Wow,
Yes,
I didn't
we
actually
are.
know that. That's
So it's all new. We have a sound stage coming in. In fact, I don't even know if it's quite working yet, but it will be soon.
uh
And we have a lot of film projects going through. So I've done a lot of things over the years, but one thing I have done, a little bit each year is, I'll shoot a commercial, or I'll land a little part in something, or I'll shoot like an independent film
mhm.
for with filmmakers here in town. So what I've been doing during COVID is just auditioning for these parts, because what they were doing is a lot of home auditions. So I could audition at home. It was safer than going out and doing things. So I that's like my main focus right now is doing film. But you're probably aware it's not like you can just walk on set and be like, hey guys.
I may or may not have heard some particular rumors about a particular actor who's also very well known, and he does his own stunts. It's really important that not only the industry of these entertainment professionals, actually, even whether they're amateur or not, are actually also upholding, the kind of procedures and cautions that everybody should be taking. So, yeah, I completely understand that that's put a hole in the industry bigger than I think it's ever had. Do you?
Well, what they're doing here is, if you're going to be in a film, you have to get tested for COVID before you can even walk in on set. So I
Okay.
felt very safe doing this. So I've been putting myself out there. Honestly, most of what I've been doing is auditioning for film. Unfortunately, I haven't been filming. So,
Right.
but it's coming. It's coming. I promise.
I believe you.
So I've done a lot of auditioning, and we've got some really big names coming through. So, just putting out positive vibes, and um, just really trying to get my hands into the film industry right now. But I also, Matt, do some stand-up.
Oh, I love it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right. Because you focus on comedy, right?
yeah. When I audition for films, honestly, I feel like I'm better at auditioning for dramas. I don't know why,
Well, that's
but
interesting that you say that. I kind of resonate.
people say comedy is harder than drama for film.
Right.
So, honestly, I'm just putting myself out there for anything, and I'm doing stand up is going to be starting again, obviously,
Right.
soon. So I've been focusing on just what can I do at home to get ready for that. And so a lot of my plans, I'm sure, just as anyone else, has kind of been skewed because of COVID.
Yeah. Right. Right.
I'm just doing what I can do.
Right. Right. Back to that comedy versus drama thing. I resonate because I feel like I'm a funny guy, and I'm kind of vibrant, and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And I always loved Jim Carrey, and there's huge inspirations for me in comedy. Dustin Hoffman, even especially oh gosh, Steve Martin. Steve Martin, love him. But the point is, like, then I felt like if I cordoned myself off, I was stronger at drama sometimes, because comedy I would go wild. And it's hard to to bring me down. But with the drama, it felt so much, you know what I mean, easier. Even though you resonate more with comedy, is that what you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I feel like if you're a good actor, you can do both.
That's a good point.
You definitely can.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, dramas get more, they have more clout or whatever in the film world, but this is, if anything, this year is going to be the year for comedies, because we just need to laugh.
That's a good point.
People are just, I know I'm just sick and tired of being home and canceling plans, and I just need to get out there and laugh. And so that my role this year is going to get, go out there and get people to laugh.
Well, that's good. I mean, we all definitely need a laugh. I mean, especially given the circumstances of all our, I always wonder, how do the comedians do it, right? Have you been keeping up with any of the Stephen Colbert kind of things, or just
every once in a while? Yeah, and I was watching, I don't remember, Seth Meyers or someone, and I have a hard time because I'm just so used to that studio audience.
Exactly.
And I'm just sitting there going, why is this not funny? And for some reason, I just need to have somebody to laugh with. I don't know.
I agree. And think about it in another terms, like I think audiences don't really consider this, is that although they're affected and they're like, oh, look, all these things have to change on a show, they don't often think, oh, wow, I wonder what it would be like to be an actor or a performer or someone who's working on set of all these things. Suddenly now they're in a completely different situation than they were last week or yesterday, and they're just like, we still need to do a show here because there's people counting on us, because money, because jobs, and we're gonna have to just deal, and I guess they did great, all things considered, and other shows, I guess they had to stop, and that's it. Now they're running reruns on, even I'm sure YouTube channels, people don't really consider that too. They don't consider YouTube or other social mediaers as performers or TV personalities, because they're not on TV. But the irony is some people make their living off of it. And now if their viewership goes up, it's one thing, but it's another thing if they were like, the way I got my viewership was I went outside and interviewed random people in crowds. Then people would say, oh my, how do you do your job now? And you're like, by Zoom?
Yeah. It's not quite the same, is it?
It's been slightly different for probably most all performers, and that would include me to some extent, even though my focus right now is on the book. I was just like, I was trying to get this thing to be a screenplay originally I wrote it from 2018 to 2019. So my background being in theater and performance and film and directing, and in most cases producing my own works, I kind of understood not only storytelling, but like how to take a production from A to Z, even if it was on a smaller budget like my own. But the irony is that when the COVID-19 thing happened, I was like, oh God, now what? What do I do? Should I continue with all this stuff? I mean,
yeah, and just do both.
Clearly, do both. I like that, right? It's like that little girl in the commercial. Why not both?
Just do both.
This little girl's awesome. You know that video? Why not both?
I don't, but I'll Google it.
No, that makes it even funnier.
I'm just going with it. I mean, there's so many videos.
See, this is what happens, Nicole. If we invite a comedian onto Diamond Discussions, then guess what you're going to get? You're going to get the funnies. Yep. You heard it here first from Matthew Nicole. Well, so tell me more about yourself, Nicole. Like, so obviously you weren't always an actress and comedian. So what are some other interesting things that you've done with your life? Whether you continue to do them now. Interesting might not be the word,
but I do have a degree in teaching theater. So I taught.
That is interesting. Of course, that's interesting. Why would that not be interesting?
I taught public school for about almost 10 years, okay. And I stepped back to spend more time with my family, but then immediately started doing performances because the performances are all at night and on the weekends. And so it did give me a more flexible schedule. Mm-hmm. And I do like it and everything, but now my family's gotten a little bit older. So I definitely need more. So I'm kind of at that stage where I'm like, okay, do I go back to education, mm-hmm. or do I make this more of like less of a hobby and more of a a living. So that's kind of where I am now, is just really going to get myself out there to do, more shows, more film opportunities, fingers crossed.
Yeah, right. And as you say, right, we
Right.
always said for theater, break a leg, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Or what the dancers would say, right? They'd be like, merde, and then I don't remember if they were supposed to spit or throw salt over. Maybe that was for something else. I don't remember, but right?
So I also have I co-founded and I direct an improv group in town. COVID has changed our schedules, but once upon a time we had a monthly show. People would come out. We'd have so much fun doing short form and long form improv.
That's wonderful.
Went to a bunch of comedy festivals, and then I got into stand-up, kind of going there, seeing that, being in that culture, going, ooh, let me try stand-up. And last year, nope, 2019, nothing happened in 2020.
No, that was funny though.
2019, I actually was able to be a part of like 3 major film productions with, I wasn't able to do much for them, but they weren't able to be released yet. So we'll see.
Well, that's still awesome. And I completely get it, right? Like obviously if filming had to stop, then that's
right.
To kind of put the kibosh on that for a while, and it makes sense. And I know other people, they also got creative. I don't want to say that it prevented other people from being creative. I'm just saying is some people had the resources to be more creative, and they would say, okay, we're going to put our actors on a green screen, and you're going to be on a green screen, and you're going to zoom it in, I guess is what we could even call it. And then they could say, we have the technology and the resources to put what background they already were in and put it in digitally. But not everybody had access to such high-tech abilities and resources to do, not only for paid money at all, but the fact that would be probably really expensive, for them to have to deal with that. And if their budget didn't allow, then how were they going to move forward? So yeah, it's definitely a shame, but I guess there are some advantages too, right, to the whole COVID-19 thing. I found it, just even doing this series, it makes me connect to people more, which is ironic.
And remind me what state you're in?
I'm in California.
You're in California. Mm-hmm. I'm in Oklahoma. It would have taken me a long time to get out there to do anything and lots of money. Mm-hmm. So I prefer the monthly Zoom budget over a plane ticket any day.
This is all I'm saying. So you're a prime candidate for this kind of postulation I'm sitting there making, which is like, I've also found that I've connected with more people outside of the United States recently, of late, we'll say, than I have inside, let alone California. And that I feel some people might think that that's like maybe a negative thing. They'd be like, maybe you want to meet people from around your area first, Matthew. And I'll be like, oh, come on now, don't be like that. It's almost better, because then I've been able to learn from I have some friends in India, and I've been asking them, well, what's going on with this situation and this other one. And we heard about this suicide of this young actor who, his name was Shulodd, and I'll probably put a link up here. And by the way, everybody, you can find links to Nicole Miller's work in the description too, so make sure you check out some of her work as well. But anyway, this one young actor, Shulodd, which again, I'll get his name later, was in India, and he committed suicide. And so I was asking them about what was the situation over there on mental health in general. And it was just interesting to then open a conversation, because again, suicide is a tough thing for most people to talk about. But I'm like, if we act as adults and we can say, well, so what's the situation here? We all can feel these bad, terrible ways. And talking to him has been just eye-opening, because it makes you think more about the way other cultures are dealing with things that we have to, and it's different. Everybody's in different states of it. So it was just very interesting to see that. So I feel that I wouldn't have met these people if the pandemic hadn't kind of occurred. Does that make sense, right?
Yeah, I know I wouldn't have bought Zoom or this cute new camera or anything if this hadn't happened.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. And I mean, I know what you feel too, like having to get new gear or whatever. Actually, this laptop, I needed to purchase it so that I could be a little bit more mobile, and do the things I needed to do, and be up to date with some technologies that I otherwise probably wouldn't have began to bother with, because I didn't need all the newest materials, you know what I mean? But I don't know if I would have been able to do these discussions either had we not been involved in the situation. And I may not have written the book because my focus was entirely on other different things. And I only had so many time slices to give the Diamond Dragons because, of course, I had to try to bring income in other ways. But now it's almost been like, well, you're stuck at home anyways. Isn't that what a writer's dream is? To be like, oh no, I have to sit here and do all my work. What am I going to do? Either I'm going to like sit around and just watch Netflix and binge it, or I'll actually do my work. So.
And that hopefully should help with mental health. I know me focusing on writing, some new jokes and stuff like that, it's really gotten me through. It's very difficult to write comedy right now.
Clearly.
But it's just, it's hard if you pay attention too much to the news and stuff to okay, now let me go write a joke that's going to make people laugh. But it makes me happy when I come up with something. I definitely feel like I was funnier before COVID.
No, Nicole. We must relocate her sense of humor. Come with me, Thor. I need your axe and your hammer. Sorry, I don't know what the hell I don't even know where that came from. That was random. But the point being is, right, the comedy, I feel like, look, I mean, we remember Robin Williams, right? Much loved Robin Williams. Links in the description. But he approached he approached sadness with a lot of humor, right?
Yeah.
Even in Patch Adams, he was great for portraying that kind of role, right? I don't know if you had heard this, Nicole, from back in the day, but do you remember Christopher Reeve, not original Superman, but the one of the Richard Donner movies? Do you remember this guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had his accident, and his wife said he didn't smile at all for all this stuff. So I'm not saying that's comparable to COVID, but like, this man went through this terrible thing, and Robin was the first person to make him laugh.
Aww.
I don't know what happened, but I think he came through the doors and was pretending to be a doctor. And then I think he just did something completely outlandish and inappropriate, kind of like Robin Williams might do.
Yeah, sounds about right.
And Christopher Reeve was probably, in his chair and he'd been immobilized in this time. Like, can you imagine? Nobody even thinks about that. It's like, you don't treasure that you have legs and your arms and everything. And then tomorrow, this is you. Live with it. Nobody thinks of it like that. But anyways,
very traumatic.
And in comes Robin, first person to make him laugh. It was during tragedy. That's one of the best times to strike with comedy because it heals so much.
It does. It is definitely one of the best medicines. Yeah, it's definitely brought me through some really hard times. So at the beginning of COVID, I was just like, do I continue trying to be a stand-up comedian, trying to do live shows, or do I give up or do, try move on to something else? Because honestly, it doesn't make money right out the gate. It's real hard sometimes, just the time and the effort.
I resonate 110,000%, right? Because, but there is, great, meaning in the message when they say never, 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 never give up. Especially if it's something that you really believe in, because, and I find myself saying this to a lot of people. I think I might have already said it on one of these discussions before, but you only have so many years on this earth to do whatever it is that you want to do, whatever you were sent here for, whatever you felt is your purpose, or what you just decided, well, I don't think there's a purpose to life. I think I'm just going to do what I want to do, and I am laser focused now. I know what I want to do. So then I'd say, you only have so many years on this earth. I suggest you get going.
Yeah. I think if I feel like everyone probably got that message from COVID, where one day, their life seems just fine, and then the next day everything changed. I hope a lot of people got that message of, this is it, and hurry up and get that book written.
Something happened.
I hope they got that message.
I'm glad you stayed too, Nicole. I'm glad you didn't quit. I'm glad that you decided, because you seem quite lovely and you're funny, and that's sort of what comedy's all about, right? You gotta entertain and make them smile and make them enjoy seeing you on screen or in audio recordings or something like that. Because if you're not, doing things like even John Rhys Davies as Gimli, bringing people, making them laugh, that he convincing people he's a dwarf. So if you can't do that, then why are you doing it? We want to bring joy and happiness and all the level of emotions to our audiences. You know what I mean? So
yeah, well, I thought about it real hard. Like, do I just quit and, I don't know, become a nurse or something in healthcare? It seemed like a great time for it. Or then I thought, well, what can I do in comedy now? Because I didn't feel like going to a crowded bar made any sense. So, so I had already had a YouTube channel that was just kind of sitting there. I hadn't done too much with. So this time I've been real good about weekly updating, putting something on there, the Nicole Miller comedy. And then I just ended up starting a whole new channel because I had this whole other series in mind and I thought it just deserved its own channel. So I started This Week in Memes. And I don't remember if I Googled that name or not, but I just made this whole thing called This Week in Memes. And then I Googled it, and I guess the Tonight Show has a segment called
now that's comedy gold. That should be the story, right? That's comedy. You write a joke about that. Did you write a joke about this?
So I just kept the name. I was like, whatever. So what I do on This Week in Memes is I just, each show is about a different type of meme, like like we just had Christmas, so I did just Christmas themed, and so I show the memes and kind of react to them. And then I have a Facebook page called This Week in Memes, and so we put I say we, but it's just me right now. I put a bunch of memes on there so people can share them and stuff. So it's just like in its baby stages, but it's been like, for me right now, just it's been a safe way. I feel like I'm spreading some laughter.
You must be. I mean, it's pretty much how I found out about you. But also, you say it's in its baby stages, and I know a lot of people say that to say it's early. But you know what? Isn't that also some of the best times of, the growing process? You know what I mean? Is when it's the early stages, and you can kind of start really guiding the ship and be like, where do I really want this to go? This is the time, because if I have any control over it, it's now. When I will not have control over it is later.
Yeah.
Right? I've thought about that a lot, and I know this doesn't necessarily sound like it applies, but hear me out, is with Diamond Dragons. I thought about it constantly, and the reason is Diamond Dragons is a hero's journey. And to make you familiar with that, if you're not already, or will educate the audience, a hero's journey is akin to Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, The Matrix. People might say, they don't have anything in common. I'd be like, check again. They all have old wizards who impart information, and often maybe they stay or go. I won't ruin any #spoilers. I don't want to do that to anybody. But the point being is, with this kind of work, is when I'm creating it, I'm sitting there thinking, maybe one day it will go somewhere. Maybe it will get bigger. But what has happened with all those things? They've always cascaded out of control. Star Wars, George Lucas created it, and then once he put it out into the world, it literally took its own life. Do you know what I mean? Like it kind of grew in this way that, how could one man predict that? It's like, I don't think he did. He just tried to keep up with it and be like, I want to maintain some control. And then eventually you have to let it go. And the same thing happened with all sorts of kind of franchises and things. You kind of have to let it out into the world. And so I'm kind of realizing that with this work.
Yeah. Well, I started just looking at other people's memes, and I started to get the idea of like, well, I can make a meme. So on my page, I'll just whatever I find funny, I just put on there. And then I've started to make memes, which when I went into doing this, it was just like an idea for getting on film and maybe being a little funny. And so it's already grown a little bit. And of course, the filming has gotten so much better and the technicality's gotten better already. So it's definitely already, I had total control over those changes, but it's been kind of fun for me to I feel like it's like a learning process for me, for sure.
Well, that's awesome. And I mean, I think it's wonderful. And also, again, we'll have links to these kind of shows that she's mentioning in the descriptions, and go ahead and click on those to find out more about her work and everything. So there you go. So Nicole, it's been so good having you here, but I just have a few last questions. So in your opinion, what's the worst artist or, kind of actors or comedians habit that you have? What's the worst habit?
Okay, so I'm going to go with film acting habit. And like 90% of acting is auditioning. I'm pretty sure, at least for me it is. Hopefully one day that'll change. And my worst habit is after I'm done with an audition, it like just putting that to bed. Like, okay, it's over. You can't change anything about it. And I'm almost a perfectionist, or like I try to overthink things. I think okay, one more take, I want to get that right. And when you're auditioning, you just don't have any direction. So it's all how you were seeing that character. And so for me, it's both rewarding, challenging, and fun, but then also I'm working on, okay, it's over, move on.
Yeah, I resonate completely. I remember feeling that not only as a young actor, but also just understanding that other people go through that. And you almost have to just give them the numbers on that and say, you almost will never know why or why not you were cast for something. And it will more often than not be for completely arbitrary reasons that just don't really necessarily have to do with whether they're professional or not. Now, I mean, certainly if you're not professional, that might be one of the reasons that you don't get cast. You know what I mean? But if you're like, everything was on the level and I still didn't get it, I'd be like, then you're actually doing way better than many people. A lot of people come back and say, I died in this audition. I was terrible. I went in and I know I was unprofessional. However, I performed well, but all my paperwork, my headshots were in, I scribbled my headshot together, and you do what you can. So that given that's your worst habit, what do you think your best habit is as an actress?
Definitely am a hard worker. I mean, I've woken up at 3 a.m. to make 5:30 a.m. calls in a different city. So and worked all day long and drove all the way back home. So I feel like I won't give up, and I'm just real tenacious and I work hard.
That's awesome. And I mean, I resonate with that too, because for example, I know you're familiar with Denzel Washington, right? Yeah, so he has this great thing that he says, and there's a lot of videos that he talks about his kind of proselyting and getting people to really believe in themselves and inspire them. But I like how he basically uses two major words that I was like, oh, I always resonate with this when people ask about how do you do this and this and this and this, and Matthew, how did you do all the acrobatic flips that you used to do? I used to do like backflips and all the kind of Jackie Chan style moves. How did you learn fencing, Matthew? How did you do the lightsaber work and all that? And I just say two major things: discipline and consistency. You just have to just keep doing these things. And sometimes I had to compare it to people and say, it's like working out your muscles. And they'd be like, what are you talking about? When they ask me, how could you be an actor? How could you do fencing? And I'd say, like, if you just did one day a month, how would your muscles be doing? Would they be great? And they're like, I'm like, what if you were doing it every day? You know what I mean? And I mean, like, you were literally... Yeah. So I was like, this is all I'm saying. I'm not saying you must do whatever it is you want to do every day, 8 hours a day. But if you don't do any of it that often, then you're not going to get good at that thing.
Yeah, use it or lose it.
You're not going to get good at that thing by just, you're just like, all right, like, right. I don't think so, so.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The awkward pause was so funny.
Sorry, I was just thinking about how I was doing yoga, and anyway.
No, that was great. You were thinking about yoga. Is that something we need to get into, or should I ask you about what's the worst advice you've been given other than being invited onto this insane show?
Oh, it's hard for me to be like, well, that was the worst advice ever. I don't know that many people give me advice about acting. I have had people come up to me after comedy shows where I've done stand-up and they want to give me some advice.
Okay,
on my
let's see where this might be going.
And if you've done a lot of comedy before and you want to give me a bit or a joke or some advice, like, yes, please. Please. If you've never done comedy at all, please don't tell me your ideas, because it just puts me in a very awkward position. But it was weird too, because my set was, you don't know this yet about me, so it's kind of a big deal.
That's all right.
Like half or more than half was about how I'm a cancer survivor. So I had some cancer jokes, or how hilarious cancer is.
I'm glad you survived this too, Nicole. That's awesome. That also shows some huge strength. That's awesome.
But I also mentioned I have kids and I'm a mom, and this guy came up to me afterwards saying, he just could not relate. Could not relate. And I figured it was because I had cancer, and I was like, yeah, not many people have cancer. He's like, no, I can't relate to you because you're a mom. I was like, well, I'm sorry, you don't have kids?
Now, that is funny in and of itself, you have to admit, right?
He said, no, I have kids. I just don't take care of them. So that was just, that was an isolated incident, really, that one was. And then he said, I'm sorry, I almost forgot the best part. I need
I'm starting again.
I need to integrate a joke that he could relate to, like something about a hammer. So there you go.
Something about a hammer?
Yeah, I need to do a joke, or I can make fun of my husband. That's what he said.
That sounds oddly specific, don't you think? Right? He's just like, what would be more funny? Yeah, I know this one thing about a saw and a tank of gasoline and a gerbil.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, huh. And then you'd be like frightened for the rest of your life, and you'd never sleep again.
Yeah, it was really weird because I don't think he even knew my husband. So.
See, forgive me is this part of your shtick? Because I think that's pure gold, right? I'm serious. I'm like, that's pretty funny. Yeah. I actually did a small comedy routine a long time ago in college. I'm not going to get into that, but it was fun. It was fun. But Nicole, it's been such a pleasure having you aboard. I haven't had a comedian yet, and now.
Yay!
Now I want more. We must.
Oh, good! Yay!
More fun, No capes. So no capes, as Edna Mode would say. So, who's the next diamond in the rough? Would you think? Who do you think would both benefit from and be able to endure my Barbara Walters grilling style questions?
It was pretty hard hitting, and there are some things we're going to have to retract later for sure. Actually, this isn't a comedian, but I do know one I can tell you off camera. But this is one of my friends.
Off camera.
And she told me this like the first time I met her, so I think I can tell you. Okay, her name is Tanya Womack. Okay. And I met her. We were in a film, just like doing the background work, super fun. And she says she was they flew her out for like TLC or Discovery, one of those things. And so I said, oh, were you like one of the reenactors, you know, how they do the reenactments, which I've always wanted to do that. And she was like, no, they were doing my story from whenever I had a ghost. And then she told me she's like a paranormal author.
Oh.
And she goes to haunted places in Oklahoma, and she has a book out. And I think it's super cool. And I'm trying to hook her up with, I don't know if you've done any paranormal investigating, you know, how you just do that.
But
this has been so random.
That you caught me on a bad day, but no.
I've really tried to hook her up with some places because I'm in Tulsa. She's in, I think Edmond, I'm probably wrong, but another city in Oklahoma. So I've been trying to hook her up with some haunted places in Tulsa to go do some investigating. And I've had her promise to bring me when she does. So
that's wonderful. I think we will have a great time. And Nicole, it's been a pleasure, and thanks so much for coming onto the show. And hey, everybody out there, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Diamond Discussions.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for watching. Would you like to be a guest on the show, or do you know a diamond in the rough who should? Contact us, DiamondDragonsTale@gmail.com. Until then, Chiong, Chifoy, Vas Res, and Yayalaha.